Hi, I'm Graham Davis, Technical Product Manager at SquaredUp, and I'm here to discuss the challenges and provide a solution for visualizing data from across your organization, from deep dive techie dashboards through service management dashboards and executive level dashboards. In this presentation, we'll discuss the underlying reasons of the why do modern IT environments need unified visibility? The what do organizations need to have in place to ensure that a unified visibility strategy is successful? And the how SquaredUp enables unified visibility. I'll then do a short demonstration of how we achieve this using SquaredUp. But what do we mean by unified visibility? At its heart, it's the ability to see and understand and get insights from data across all systems wherever that data resides, no matter the location or the application. It breaks down silos by consolidating data from multiple tools and platforms so IT and business teams can be more proactive and make informed decisions. One question just to quickly ask you, how many tools do you switch between daily just to understand your environment? Or even how many tools do you need to check today just to understand the health of a single service? Hybrid IT is today's reality. It's a mix of on-premises and cloud platforms and SaaS solutions spanning a seemingly never-ending list of applications. There's tool sprawl. Data is locked in different systems, be it on-premises network monitoring tools, application monitoring tools, virtualization platforms, with each of the tools owned by different teams reporting into different managers, all of which can hinder coordination, or in the worst cases, even basic cooperation. With many organizations spanning the globe, this makes collaboration, even when there is a desire for it, a challenge. The business impact of these data silos is very real. With so many moving parts and so many tools, it's easy to have blind spots which only become apparent when there's an issue which isn't detected before it becomes service impacting. It's easy to miss critical connections between seemingly unrelated events. Even when an issue is detected, the lack of unified visibility means teams can be slow to respond, trying to piece together information from multiple tool sets, jumping between multiple dashboards. All of this leading to slower response time and higher risk. The lack of being able to see the full picture means teams context switching and getting dizzy spinning between screens. The result is a firefight against issues when a unified visibility approach could provide foresight to prevent them. Despite all of these challenges, service managers are still expected to deliver SLAs and clear reporting, while hybrid IT often makes that almost impossible without a unifying layer. Without a clear line of sight from IT systems to business services, leadership all too often struggle to make informed decisions. Let's face it, stakeholders expect and need real-time service health, not just a lot of technical noise. An outage may well be an IT responsibility, but in today's environments, it is perceived as an indication of the brand as a whole. Organizations lose revenue from outages, not just from immediate lack of business, but also from degraded customer trust. So, what do we need if we want to deliver unified visibility to our organization? Sometimes, especially as techies, we can be focused on the detail, but we need to remember that we are really there to support a successful business. We need to be able to make that connection from understanding our IT systems to understanding the impact of those systems on business outcomes. Enter that single pane of glass, one place to see everything. But in reality, what is a single pane of glass and how do you create one? Early attempts at a single pane of glass tended to focus on aggregating alerts from multiple tools into one place. The result was an overwhelming deluge of alerts that were noisy, lacking in context, and effectively unactionable. While we might still be seeking our single pane of glass that solves all of our problems in one simple dashboard, a more realistic goal is to have a flexible framework that enables those stakeholders to have their own perspectives on the same underlying data. A framework that works across our platforms and tool sets today and is extensible for what we might want to be using tomorrow. It needs to deliver the breadth that executives need and the depth that techies need. And to do that effectively, it needs to be able to correlate entities across data sources. A single virtual machine might exist in Azure, but instances of that machine might also exist in SCOM and ServiceNow and Dynatrace. I need to be able to correlate all the data about that entity. I need to be able to contextualize information to filter out noise from what really matters, the issues that need to be prioritized. And I need to be able to share those dashboards across the enterprise to the relevant stakeholders. It's not only impractical to implement a monolithic data store of everything, it rarely achieves the desired outcome. All that centralized data sits behind a complex analytics interface, requiring a centralized team to provide answers for the individuals looking for insights. And those same centralized teams struggling to do so because they don't have the knowledge and of the systems and the processes the data describes. They also become a bottleneck, just unable to cope with all the questions that are coming in. The end result is yet another data silo. There is a better way. Leave the data at source, surface that data centrally. And as I mentioned, let's correlate that data across all of the systems. Important question, how do you achieve unified visibility? Well, it doesn't come as a surprise that the answer is going to be squared up. We can lower the risk that you face by connecting the dots and surfacing interdependencies across systems and platforms to reduce those blind spots, unifying data from multiple tools into one clear view. We can enable the service-centric dashboards that show both technical health and, all importantly, business impact. We can reduce costs. SquaredUp doesn't duplicate data, it surfaces data you already have. No expensive data lakes and complex queries. Configure the plugin to have read-only access to your data source and you're ready to go. The SquaredUp dashboards then highlight anomalies and trends early so teams act before small issues become service impacting outages. When an issue does occur, the single pane of glass means engineers don't waste time switching between toolsets. Everything is visible in one place. By correlating data from across systems, teams can quickly identify where the issue lies instead of chasing symptoms. And by linking system help to services, teams can prioritize fixes that matter most to the business. SquaredUp enables organizations to move from technical noise to business clarity. Let's see how we do it. A large part of our customer base has been using SCOM and SquaredUp Dashboard Server for a long time to bring together visualizations from across on-premises data sources. SquaredUp Cloud can sit on top of Dashboard Server, but it can also thrive on its own for customers that don't have SCOM. These customers want to be able to connect to data sources and surface data and slice and dice that data regardless of where that data resides. Teams want the flexibility to choose the best of breed solutions, but they also want to be able to surface data in a standard, consistent and meaningful way that everyone could understand. And that's where the real value from SquaredUp Cloud comes in. With a cloud platform, you can create a workspace to group together a logical set of dashboards, for example, for a team, an application, etc. So here we have a workspace for a cloud application. There's a granular role-based access control, so you can have the ability to share dashboards within the workspace. And these dashboards can be shared either publicly, which gives you the option of displaying them on wall screens, or you can lock them down so that users have to log in via SSO to give specific teams or individuals access to key information such as costs or security information. Once you've created your workspace, before you can create any of the dashboards, you need to have some data sources configured. These data sources all work in the same way. Teams don't need to learn different processes for different plugins. They simply need to provide credentials that have the rights to read data from the underlying data source. They're very broad in scope, as you can see here. If I click on Add New Data Sources, first of all, you can see the data sources already configured in my organization, which I can reuse. And then there's a whole raft of data sources available to us, which we can use as part of our data, as part of our visualizations. So we have the cloud platforms such as Azure and Google Cloud and AWS, but we also have lots of applications such as Confluence, Cloudflare. If we scroll down here, we'll see other applications like Jira and Jenkins. What you'll notice with Jenkins is that there's an on-prem option. This data source requires a relay agent group or a cloud-hosted solution, depending on how you're using Jenkins. For an on-prem solution, we do require an on-premises cloud relay agent. That can be a containerized relay agent, except for SCOM. If you do want to pull SCOM data from on-premises, you do need to have a Windows virtual machine. And the SCOM data source can be seen down here. Let's say on-prem, this data source requires a relay agent group. But more options down here include ServiceNow, SolarWinds, Splunk Enterprise, either cloud hosted or again the on-premises solution. Microsoft 365 is an option we've been working with, or a plugin we've been working with a number of customers recently to showcase licensing, as well as KPIs across Outlook, OneDrive and Teams, such as size of mailbox, number of licenses that haven't been active in the last 90 days, basically trying to surface where cost savings might be available. Once you've configured your data source, we do have ways to get you up to speed quickly and easily with creating your dashboards. So here on the Azure data source, we have a list of out-of-the-box dashboards which enable you to say quickly and easily get up to speed. This exposes data from things like Cosmos DB metrics, function metrics, storage account metrics. Perhaps we want to create a dashboard about a particular virtual machine. So we can come here to the virtual machine VM metrics, select this and then select our own virtual machine, the one that we want to visualize. So I might want to choose this virtual machine, and it will quickly pull all of the data back that we have for this virtual machine, and I can now copy this dashboard and put this into one of my own dashboards, one of my own workspaces, and then share that across the enterprise. It's a quick and easy way to get up to speed and get some dashboards going very, very quickly. Within Azure, if I go back to the data source, you can also see all of the data streams here that we expose as part of the Azure Data Source plugin. Each plugin will have its own different dashboards at the top here and different data streams that are exposed. But you can see here the data streams which we can start to put onto our tiles include things like budget overviews, cost data, location information. So lots of cost information which is very useful at executive level, but also deep drill down metrics, guest virtual machine metrics, all of the data streams that you'd expect around CPU, memory, disk I/O. Equally powerful and extensible log analytics queries. All of these data streams, as I say, we expose out of the box, enabling you to quickly and easily get up to speed creating your dashboards. One of the key differentiators we have, though, is that once we connect to the data source, we read some metadata from the entities from each of those tools into our platform, and that's what we call an index. The index gives us some key properties against those entities so that we can perform correlations for that entity across all data sources in which it exists, such as a virtual machine that exists in Azure, but which also exists as a configuration item in ServiceNow. This indexing allows us to link these two data sources together, and then you can use this information when scoping tiles or grouping information within the tiles. And if I choose one of these objects, such as a virtual machine, Sales Web 03, we can see all of the data streams that support that virtual machine. But what we can also see on the right-hand side is the object details, the information that we're indexing, where this particular object, Sales Web 03, actually exists. It exists in New Relic, it exists in SCOM, it exists in Azure, and we can actually fire up the underlying portals or applications from here as well, viewing in New Relic, SquaredUp Dashboard Server, or the Azure portal. And then down here, we can see all of the properties that we're actually indexing. So from the Windows Computer object, the Microsoft Windows Computer class, we've got the information that we're collecting, but also from Azure, the information we're collecting, and also then from New Relic a little bit further down, we'll see information about the New Relic host entity. So this is really the power behind a lot of what we're doing. It enables us to create a health model, it enables us to do health roll-up, and it's a really powerful piece of functionality that we'll start to highlight in a moment when we look at these red dots next to certain dashboards. But let's switch focus to the dashboards. To highlight data from anywhere, we have a dashboard here that shows metrics from Azure Monitor, AWS CloudWatch, SCOM, Pingdom, some information from Dynatrace, cost information from Azure. We also further down have, across here, have DevOps information, information from GitHub, and all of this just in one visualization. This is what we really mean by unified visibility. Let's have a look at some of these in a little bit more detail, and I'll explain what these red, yellow, and green dots are next to each of these tiles. So if I go into the metrics from Azure Monitor, this is the way you configure the tiles. So we select our data source. In this case, we're looking at Azure Metrics, so we've got the Azure data source selected, but you can obviously select any data source that you have pre-configured. I've selected percentage CPU, but we expose a whole host of Azure metrics here that we could be putting onto this dashboard. So again, we've got log analytics queries, which give us a great deal of extensibility, but also cost information, which may be useful for people. And also, if you want to get started finding the worst of or best of, some queries with top 10 high CPU, top 10 high memory, top 10 low disk space. So a lot of pre-configured data streams available to us. Once you've selected your data stream, you need to select the objects that you want to display on the dashboard. So I've just selected my 3 virtual machines. And then the time frame, whole host of pre-configured or preset timeframes you can choose from, plus custom, all bases covered there. What you can also then do is shape the data, so filter it by the name perhaps of the virtual machine, or by time, or by value. You can group information together, you can sort the data when it's displayed, and a huge amount of options there in terms of shaping the data. And then under columns, you can just determine what information you want to display at the bottom here. And also if you want to format it, so a value coming back is 2.7, you might want to turn into a percentage here. So all bases covered in terms of setting up and configuring the data stream, the objects you want to display, the time frame you want to display it for, and any shaping that you need to configure. If you look at the response time from Pingdom, you'll see next to it we have an amber yellow warning telling us that response time is too high, but you'll also see a green item next to SCOM, amber again next to AWS CloudWatch. Hovering over it gives us more information, and red over metrics from Azure Monitor. If I actually go back up here to the title as well, data from anywhere, you can see we've got the same red dot here in the portal. So let's have a look. If I go back to metrics from Azure Monitor and edit, something I didn't look at when I went down the left-hand side was the options available on the right. So you can see some visualization options. In this case, we displayed a line graph because that makes most sense for CPU data, but other visualizations are available. We also have a monitoring tab. This is where we set the value on the data stream and any thresholds if we want to configure, well, monitoring. So in this instance, we've said that a value of greater than 200 is red, and a value between 100 and 200 is amber, with the assumption that anything below that is going to be healthy. What makes this even more powerful is that we can roll up health states. We're effectively creating a health model that optionally relates the health of a tile to its parent dashboard and then onto its parent workspace. Let's take a look at our Lego Swag Store application, the business process view of that. Now this is an app we use at events to build Lego figurines for people who come to speak to us. You can see in real time the build queues, the inventories, and you'll notice that instead of a tile with some metrics, we've actually got a nice SVG that we use as the structure for our application. And you'll see on that superimposed the health states of the different components. If you look at app load, we can see that it's red, likewise with inventory underneath it. And if we go across to the left-hand side here, we can see where our business process view also has surfaced that there's a problem. And underneath business process view, you can see each of the individual dashboards that sort of been superimposed onto this SVG. The object model is allowing us to map out our applications. And then through that object model, we're building it out. We're giving different dashboards to different stakeholders, giving them the information they need quickly and easily. So within this, I can drill down into app load. I could go straight over here, it'll get me to the same place. And this then gives a specific dashboard for the app load piece of functionality of our application. And again, you're seeing data's coming in from multiple different data sources, from Pingdom, from app insights, various usage information, uptime information. But each of our other components also has its own dashboard, and if different teams are responsible for different components, they could then view this different information, their own information, on their own specific dashboard. The final piece of this jigsaw that we have time to look at today is that once you've created your monitors for your workspace, you might well want to start to create some notifications. So if I scroll down on the left-hand side here, we'll see monitors. So once we have the monitors created, we've got a full list here. We can then start to create notification rules for them. You can fire off notifications via email or to Slack, to ServiceNow, a custom outbound webhook, which gives huge flexibility, in addition to Zapier, which opens a raft of other notification options. So what we've shown here is really just a whistle-stop tour of our SquaredUp Cloud application. It's emphasizing how SquaredUp enables unified visibility, surfacing data from anywhere into powerful visualizations that can be used across your enterprise. It's surfacing data for executives into their dashboards, for techies into theirs, and for service managers into their own dashboards, all getting their own view of the same underlying data. You'll have noticed that I've been demonstrating SquaredUp Cloud. So where does that leave SquaredUp Dashboard Server? Well, SquaredUp Dashboard Server 7.0 shows our commitment to supporting on-premises visualizations for those customers who can't embrace cloud visualizations. We've extended our on-premises visualizations to include VMware, and we've updated the interface so that SquaredUp Cloud and SquaredUp Dashboard Server have the same look and feel. And to reiterate, Dashboard Server continues to be developed and will continue to invest in it to ensure visualizations where a self-hosted solution is required. Dashboard Server is designed specifically for SCOM. Dashboard Server is incredibly simple to deploy into an existing SCOM environment and integrates natively with SCOM access control and management packs. If you need a powerful SCOM console which you can expand visibility beyond SCOM using dashboard tiles that connect directly to systems like VMware, ServiceNow, or utilize PowerShell to extract data, then you need Dashboard Server. SquaredUp Cloud is the next generation of dashboarding designed for a hybrid world. SquaredUp Cloud inherits the DNA of Dashboard Server, such as easy dashboarding, health roll-ups, object drill downs, and alerting, but extends these capabilities to over 60 tools and data sources. While Dashboard Server goes deep on SCOM, Cloud goes broad, from cloud platforms such as Azure, AWS, and Google, to DevOps platforms like GitHub, Jira, and Azure DevOps. SquaredUp Cloud is built from the ground up as a cloud-native, SaaS-only product. It's not available self-hosted. However, it can connect to on-prem data sources such as VMware through a cloud relay agent. SquaredUp Cloud does also optionally integrate with SCOM as a data source, but unlike Dashboard Server, it doesn't require SCOM. IT operations teams who rely on SCOM can still use Dashboard Server as their main dashboard interface into SCOM. They extend the reach of their Dashboard Server dashboards by plugging in views and health roll-ups from cloud, for example, for cloud monitoring like Azure Monitor, or network tools like Cisco DNA, Thousand Eyes, and APM tools like Dynatrace. DevOps teams who support cloud applications use cloud as their main dashboard. They may drill down into Dashboard Server for troubleshooting server-based components monitored by SCOM. Management teams and NOCs who need visibility across all infrastructure and applications can use cloud as their main dashboard, which rolls up health from SCOM and from cloud monitoring. And as workloads shift between on-prem and cloud, and new monitoring tool sets are used alongside SCOM, The combination of dashboard server and cloud provides teams with a comprehensive and flexible monitoring platform that can adapt to your changing environment and tooling landscape. SquaredUp Cloud and SquaredUp Dashboard Server, quite simply, are better together. Use them together for happy dashboarding. Thank you.